Hey guys, FilthyRobot here, bringing you another guides, tips, and tricks video. This time we are talking about Eldar early game heroes. We're going to go through the Striking Scorpions, Ranger, Ronin here, and Farseer Maka. So let's get to it. Let's start on the Striking Scorpions. So Striking Scorpions are, I think in my mind, arguably the best hero in the game. If Farseer, or Zap Noggin is pretty damn good, I think Striking Scorpions may take my first place pick for best hero in the game. They are a 2-point elite drop. They are so they show up on the field insanely quickly. They are deceptively survivable, both from their decent amounts of HP. Surprisingly for an Eldar, they have 2,800 combined shield and HP. I've listed the combined HP. It does break it down. I have the breakdown somewhere else if we need that at some point. But honestly, pure HP is pure HP, and unlike a lot of units where the Eldar, a lot of the Eldar units have high shields and like almost no HP, the split for the Striking Scorpions is 1,600 shield and 1,100 HP basically. So they have a fair chunk of HP even once their shields are done. But here's what this hero does and why it's so fucking amazing. Their DPS is 85 normal DPS in melee and 14 range DPS. Their range attack slows, which is causes damage in slow, which means that they have an ability to not only when they hit you with their first melee attack, which slows you, they then slow you even more with Manda Blasters, which is like a snare that gets reapplied over and over and over again. And in addition to that, they get Leap Strike, which causes damage and slow again, and allows for very efficient surrounds because they can position themselves in front of you while other Banshees are already behind you. And they become a very strong right-click hero. You just right-click on another fucking hero, you leap a couple times, and you're good to go. And the other thing was when they activate Hunt. Hunt is a ability that has 2 charges when it's at max charges. And when you activate Hunt, it creates a cloud of smoke. It acts as stealth cover. It makes you disappear. The stealth cover is better than regular stealth cover because detectors can't see you even if there's detection down. So it's the only true stealth in the game, and that it is immune to detectors. And while they're active, while Hunt is active, you can see enemy units that are hiding. You get this kind of red pulse effect. I think it might even show it here if we click on it. Let's see. So this is perfect invis. So they can just run the fuck away because they get a perfect invis. And then they can see units hidden in fog because it will give this like red pulsing effect that you can kind of see of those units to find them. So they'll know where your units are. And while Hunt is active, and it's active for a fairly long period of time when you activate it, they get a huge DPS increase, more than double. So they go from 85 DPS to 171 normal DPS. That's more than Stormboy levels of DPS on a hero that is much, much, much more survivable, both in terms of raw HP and in terms of escape options, as well as better at keeping guys trapped in melee with them because they slow all the fucking time. Oh yeah, and Striking Scorpions generates crits, and their crit is true damage. So every 6th attack they get a true damage crit, which means they can do things like solo shield generators, solo listening posts, stuff like that, which is really fucking annoying too. Some people have told me that all of their damage is true damage, but I haven't seen any evidence for this. If it is, there is a tooltip display because the game display shows them as doing normal damage regularly with just crits doing true damage. They have a couple other abilities. When Striking Scorpions activate Hunt, Howling Banshees in a circle gain the effect of that ability. In other words, it doubles the fucking damage of your Howling Banshees as well if you activate it here, which is quite a good one. The other one they have is Viper Missiles explode on hit, causes slow and damage in a circle. Yeah, I think that is probably less good than the Banshees getting a buff. This unit is nasty. This is a really, really scary unit to fight against. It has the ability to basically right-click all the other 2-point heroes and kill them, which is fucking terrifying. So I haven't found a great way to deal with them. Stuns help, so you can get some distance. It's the only way I can get my kill team away from these guys is I scout stun these guys to get away. But sometimes I miss it because they're so fucking fast with their movement bonuses and their leap strike. Sometimes I will miss the stun. If I miss the stun, my kill team pretty much dies. And the same with the Storm Boys. The Storm Boys do not win a 1v1 with the Striking Scorpions, and all the Eldar units are better in the early game than all the Orc units, which means you basically just can't engage these things. And these things will kill all your buildings when you're not looking. Or if you are looking, they'll still kill them. So fucking terrifying unit. Really, really hate playing against these, and every Eldar always uses them because they're so damn good. So be aware. That's probably the best hero in the game. Let's move on to Ranger Ronin here. And I think he's one of the weaker heroes in the game again. He is very light damage. He does 12 normal melee damage or 21 normal range damage, which is really not much damage at all. It's supposed to be made up for it by the fact he has very, very long range, but it really isn't made up for that fact at all. The heroes are, especially the Eldar heroes, are extremely good disruption heroes. They absorb a lot of enemy damage and then can just run out and recharge their shields. They rarely die doing it, and the Ranger does not do that, and the Eldar's forces really miss that when he's on the field. He has a couple other abilities. He has Long Shot, which is a armor-piercing nuke that stuns vehicles that it hits in a line, that pierces through things and has, I think it's infinite range, but it might not quite be infinite range. But it doesn't do a lot of damage, and it has 3 charges that count down. It's very similar to the Imperial Knight's nuke attack, except longer range and much less damage. It's just not that great. It will eventually kill buildings because buildings can't move, and it does stun and hurt vehicles to some degree, but it's just not that good. It's just not that interesting. Apparently it does damage to units that are in cover. Good to know, I guess, but who cares? The damage isn't that high. He also has Shadow Step, which is teleport to a stealth cover within range. This is just a bad regular teleport. I don't know why, with all the teleports in the game they have. The Mad Dread has a teleport. Both the Terminator squads have teleports. Why can't he have a proper teleport? Why is it only to stealth cover? A lot of times you don't want to teleport to stealth cover, and a lot of times there isn't stealth cover in range to teleport to. It's just meh. Not very thrilled about this this ability. His damage is weak. He does have Snap Fire. When he uses the Shadow Step or Long Strike ability, his weapons no longer need to set up to fire and has increased attack speed for a duration. I didn't test how much of a damage increase that has. Probably you should be using these regularly if the damage increase is decent. 20-second cooldown. It doesn't tell me how long the damage increases for. I maybe should time that at some point to get some sense of it. Maybe I'm misusing him by doing that. Maybe I should be trying to trigger Snap Fire over and over again by activating these abilities. But if that is the case and it's less than a 20-second cooldown, you're going to be spending a lot of micro trying to get that to work, and his damage isn't so impressive to begin with that really matters. I didn't think anything of him. I'm not that worried when I face him. I think he's fairly weak. Let's take a look at what his doctrines are. When he's deployed, sensor beacons create a patch of stealth cover at the target position. Sensor beacons are available for use when Ronin is deployed, even if they've not yet been researched. Okay, I guess that could be annoying. Maybe. Or Rangers teleport to the target position with stealth cover. When reaching level 8, the doctrine is unlocked as equipped as the Army doctrine. So they have the same ability to teleport to stealth cover. That would probably be very useful on scout snipers who need a way to get out of combat with melee. But the Eldar snipers are already extremely fast with Webway Fleet of Foot, and they already have invis. These are probably overkill, in my opinion, for the snipers. They already have a lot of survivability options. These don't seem necessary to fully utilizing snipers, and it feels like you're probably gimping yourself by deploying such a weak damage, low disruption unit as the Ranger when you could be deploying better units, such as Farseer Maka, who's decent. I don't think she's the greatest hero anymore. I think I've kind of backed off my opinion a little bit after seeing the Howling Banshees in action, or not Howling Banshees, excuse me, the Striking Scorpions in action. I backed off a little bit on how good she is. I still think she is quite good, but I don't think she scales very well in the mid and late game, and I think the Striking Scorpions retain their ability to go snipe LPs throughout the entire game in a way that Farseer Maka doesn't, which means they still have utility in the late game, while I don't think she really does. However, there are some abilities that are that make that a little bit different. So let's talk about Farseer. She does 44 normal DPS in melee or 35 range DPS. Those are fairly comparable numbers. It means she is slightly better in melee than she is in range. Her default stance is range, so if you want to put her in melee, you're going to need to toggle it. Can I toggle it here? I thought maybe it would save my options, but it doesn't look like it does. But anyways, okay, good to know. She has Singing Spear, where she throws her spear at a location. It does damage in a line, and supposedly knockback, but I don't think it actually does do knockback in a line. I'm pretty sure it just does damage in a line. It stays where it lands, and gives a damage buff to whatever at that location, basically to friendly units in that location. When she's deployed her spear, she can toggle Psyker Blast, which is a bunch of energy pops out of a spear, does normal damage. It's pretty good versus infantry squads, does AoE damage, and does it in around the spear location. And apparently it also increases attack damage and reduces incoming damage in a circle. So it looks like, for example, if you have Banshees fighting in melee and then you toss your spear to that location and then have the spear explode, the Banshees are going to get a big damage buff, be a little bit harder to have damage taken to them, as well as doing AoE damage. I'm not sure how big the area is. I'm not sure if there's a visual or not. There might be a visual. Is there a visual that shows us how big the location is that gets the buff? There's the ability. But where's the actual buff? Yeah, there's the cast spear. And there's the explode, right? Okay, but where's the actual radius on the buff? That I don't know. She can also recall her spear, which will do damage back in a line through which it passes through. And when she doesn't have the spear in hand, I think her melee damage goes to 0, right? Or not quite. It goes to a lot lower when she doesn't have her spear in hand. The other thing she can do with the spear deployed, if she has the spear deployed, she does a stasis, which makes the units in that stasis invulnerable, but they also can't move and can't attack between where she is and where her spear is, which is hard to use effectively, but when you do get it, it's really nasty. Otherwise, if she does have the spear in hand, she does a point blank point blank circle of stasis. So she stasis locks all of those. Stasis locks herself as well. Here's the other one I'm talking about. This is the line stun, the line disable. And that's actually pretty good because you can choose a little bit more readily what enemy units you put in stasis, which is pretty powerful. So she has some good abilities. Those are a little tricky to use. I don't see people using the stasis abilities all that much, but when they do and they're cast well, they're devastating. In a similar way to the way that Stonewall is fairly devastating when it's used well. And her regular AoE nuke and her line nuke are fairly decent. She's not super tanky. She's a little bit fragile. She has 2020 combined health between shield and HP, which is 800 less than the Striking Scorpions. And she can get caught out and killed sometimes. But she does have last chance, which is fairly decent. When Maka is deployed, instead of dying, elite units, including herself, enter stasis, and then at the end of stasis, heal. I think the stasis is like 5 seconds or something, which can be good. Sometimes it doesn't matter. If you're too deep and you're out of position, you might still die when stasis ends. But a lot of times it gives you the time to get away, gives you the time and health to get away afterwards, which is a strong ability, and it makes it for all of your Eldar heroes while she's deployed, which is pretty damn good. I don't think it has a cooldown. I just think like what happens is once she's deployed, the first time you would die, you don't die, and the next time you would die, you do die. And I don't know if it resets after that, so I don't know what happens the third time that your hero would die. Is it back to Maka's presence time? I don't know. Enhanced battle focus doesn't seem that strong to me. Wraithguard enter a state of enhanced battle focus, increasing attack speed but draining shields. It's certainly enhanced attack speed on Wraithguard is nuts. Don't get me wrong, but the Wraithguard have a ton of shields and they're fairly tanky infantry. And part of the reason why they're so damn good is they have such resilience to damage. They're a heavy infantry that has a lot of HP. I would have to play around with this, and I haven't, to see how good this is. Getting extra damage on your primary damage dealing unit in the mid game is pretty clutch. So possibly that would be quite strong. I'm quite curious. We'll have a look at it at some point in some games. It might allow ridiculous burst damage, especially if you're not being focused. So we'll have to see. It has the potential to be real strong, but it's one of these. It's kind of a cool ability, honestly, because it has the. It's like Berserk in like Warcraft 3 or something, right? It has the ability to be really strong, but you can get punished for it as well. So I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out. I like the idea of that, and it is available when she hits level 8 as a doctrine. That could be something that could be cool to use as well, to split it away from her, so you can still keep using Last Chance, which is really, really good. So, okay, so we talked about the Eldar early game heroes. Try the Striking Scorpions out and then go complain on the forums or something. The hero seems ridiculous to me. Particularly its ability to solo kill LPs is just fucking nuts, in my opinion. But as a whole, they have two very solid early game choices. They're Farseer and Maka, Striking Scorpions, or both. And maybe some of you will find some reason to use the Ranger, but I don't have any reasons right now that are worth considering, in my opinion. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I have the DPS up of all the Eldar heroes on this if you're curious about it, and the HP. Hopefully this was fairly educational and useful for you guys. And if you enjoyed the content, please hit the subscribe button and check out my other videos. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you soon.